This fairy looks like a little girl. In fact, he is an old driver who has lived for thousands of years. To make the apprentice happy, he actually prepared a potion that could melt clothes. Girl's name is Friend, a very long-lived elf. She joined the brave squad. After a 10-year journey, they finally killed the devil, returned to the capital together. The king officially announced that the age of peace had finally arrived. End of the play. Oh, just kidding. And that's where the story begins. In the evening, the whole capital is celebrating. The brave squad is no exception, remembering the interesting events of the journey. Haida is a wine and meat monk. It's useless when you're often drunk. Freelin is a careless elf. Fall into the treasure box every time. Team leader Simmel said he was very lucky because I'm so happy to have an adventure with everyone. But Flillian felt that a 10-year journey is too short. It was just a blink of an eye for him. Then a meteor streaked across the night sky. It turned out to be a once-in-50-year polar meteor shower. Before the brave squad disbanded, Flillian made a pact with everyone to watch another meteor in 50 years. The next day, everyone will part ways. Flillian plans to travel the world to collect magic. He climbed mountains, across the river. I don't know how many decades have passed, until he remembered. Simmel also kept a prop for him. He returned to the capital again. The streets of King City have changed greatly. Simmel also became an old man with a white beard. But he still hasn't forgotten the promise of that year. Returned the black dragon horn to Flillian. But Freelin thought it was a big deal. But after a mere 50 years, the brave squad becomes a party for the elderly, with the exception of Florian. To reach the place of care, they're back on the road just like they did. To the journey, the end of. They watched the brightest night of shooting stars together. Simmel died shortly after. Everyone is mourning for him, but Frillian was expressionless. They all thought he was a heartless man. Thanks to Haida for coming out to help smooth the field, to make the atmosphere less awkward. While burying the body, Frillian cried with remorse, knowing that human lifespan is short. But I never wanted to get to know Simmel. It's too late now. Before parting, Haida wanted to take another good look at Florian. Maybe this will be the last time. And let Florian remember to bring Jurette's grave to pay homage. And Florian is on a journey to understand humanity. And 20 years went by. Friend came to find Haida's tomb, as promised. Unexpectedly, this alcoholic monk is still alive. The elderly Haida adopted a war orphan. It's called Flywheel. Haida is now dying. I hope Friend can take the Flywheel as a disciple. Take him on the journey that follows. But Freelin refused, because his journey will be in danger at any time. He didn't want his friend's daughter to die. There is no way. Haida had to ask him to read a magic book. There's magic on it that brings people back from the dead. Then you can extend your life for yourself. And I hope that Flillian can be in the process of interpretation, teaching flywheels to learn magic. Frillian agreed. He found the flywheel on the hill. As long as the flywheel's magic can penetrate the opposite rock. He is a qualified magician, but his magic can only hit half of it at most. Florian thinks the little girl is very talented. So that's how Florian teaches Phelan magic during the day. At night, we read Grimoire. It's been 4 years. Phelan has been able to practice alone. But Haida's body has also reached its limit. Finally got sick. Friend wants Phelan to stop practicing. Spend the remaining time with Haida. Unexpectedly, the little girl was extremely stubborn. He feels that only he can stand alone. Only worthy of Haida's life-saving grace. In the remaining days, Phelan finally released a qualified magic. And so Freelin did the reading. But there is no immortal magic in the book. Edda wasn't surprised. Ask him what he thinks of the flywheel. Filian only said that Flywheel is a qualified mage. Haida smiled. Turns out he's just pretending to be looking for immortal magic. The real purpose is to delay until the Flywheel qualifies, so that he could travel with Friedrich. Haida doesn't want Phelan experiencing the pain of losing a loved one again. I asked Freelin to take Phelan and leave immediately. Just die alone. But instead, Florian scolded him. After Simmel's death, Friedrich understood human emotion. So, in the company of the flywheel, the sea otter died peacefully. After burying the sea otter, the two of them embarked on a journey to travel around the world. In a village in ancient and modern times, a grandmother sent a commission. She wants to clean up Simmel's bronze statue. It turned out that when she was a child, the village was invaded by monsters, and it was Simmel who came to her rescue. Over the years, she remembers Simmel. Friend helped clean up the statue, but my mother-in-law also wanted to add some flowers around for decoration. Frillian suddenly thought. Simmel once mentioned the famous flower of her hometown. It's a flower called crescent moon grass. She said she wanted to take Friend to see it one day. Lillian has never seen the crescent moon grass. It can't be made by magic. So she stayed in the village every day. Every day I look for traces of crescent moon grass. The flywheel is just a waste of time. Because of this forest, the moon has not been open for decades. He couldn't help but complain to his mother-in-law. The mother-in-law planted flowers similar to the crescent moon grass variety, gave the flywheel, let him persuade Frillian. Frillian saw Phelan's concerns. Just say I'll stop looking for a few more years. Just then, a gray squirrel took the flower seed away. Frillian uses magic to track down. Found an abandoned tower. It turns out that gray squirrels will collect food of the same kind. And that's when Frillian flies to the top. I saw a sea of romantic flowers, and they returned to the statue. Planted flowers from his hometown for him. Then he also put a wreath on Simmel, just like the one he wore for Florian. Then the two continued their journey, came to a new town, and Phelan's almost 16 now. They can split up to buy supplies. At this time, Frillian suddenly showed an expression of concealment. Phelan was curious. Just follow Frillian all the way. Unexpectedly, he actually came to the jewelry store cabinet. I don't even bother to comb my hair. I even bought jewelry. After some torn choices, he finally bought one. After the evening, he just took out the jewelry he bought. Phelan opened it. It's a beautifully crafted hair accessory. It turned out to be a birthday present for him. Phelan's heart was filled with relief, because Frillian is trying to start to understand herself and become more and more human. The next day, they trained defensive magic. Friend's ordinary attack magic, easily blocked by the flywheel. But the second round of Florian turned the magic around. Easily penetrate the flywheel's defenses. If it is actual combat, he must die. Then Frillian unleashed magic from all directions. Although the flywheel can deploy full-body defense, but not for long. The magic will soon be exhausted. Only then did Frillian tell him to defend. Magic consumes a lot of magic, so it's best to only expand where you're hit. Then the two found the killer monster that was once sealed. It turns out that Frillian found that the seal had begun to loosen. We have to get rid of him completely here. This monster has created a unique killing spell. Even the brave aliens couldn't do it back then. Only seal him. The next day, Frillian lifted the seal. The murderous monster will take revenge immediately. Start with killing magic. Unexpectedly, it was easily blocked by the flywheel. Flywheel call. Isn't this just ordinary attack magic? It turns out that 80 years have passed. Man has long mastered his killing magic and apply long skills to control the barbarians. It also creates stronger defensive magic. Murder also sees. Defense magic consumes a lot of magic. It's a blast against the two of them. Unexpectedly, this was also accurately defended one by the flywheel. And Frillian flew into the air, sucked a huge killing magic, smashed him on the spot. After getting rid of the monster, the villagers all thanked Frillian. And that's when Friend realized. This old man in front of me. It turned out to be the bear child, who lifted his skirt back then. He flipped it that year. But Simmel is jealous. It seems that there are still some people I know who have not passed away. After saying goodbye to the villagers, Frillian and Flywheel begin the next journey. The two arrived at a village near the strait. This time, Filion took over the task of cleaning up the abandoned ship. However, in winter, the weather gets cooler, and Filion starts to suck. Not only can't afford to stay in bed, even eating and dressing requires Filion's help. Filion worked hard, brought him to the job site. Filion is also tired. They all wonder how the brave men put up with him back then. After the death of the two, the coast is finally cleaned up. The village chief invited Filion to the New Year's festival tomorrow. Unexpectedly, he agreed, because you have to get up early to watch the sunrise during the New Year's festival. Filion can't get up at all, so he decisively chose to stay overnight. Late at night,
Friedrich remembered that day.
except for him that day. The teammates all went to watch the sunrise.
Simmel thinks
Filion should enjoy the new year with them, but he doesn't think sunrises are rare. Kimmel had the audacity to assert that he would love the sunrise. Unexpectedly, thinking about him fell asleep. Thankfully, the flywheel gets up early. Wake him up quickly. Under the leadership of Filion, Friedrich finally saw the New Year sunrise. Beautiful is beautiful, but he also felt that there was really no need to get up early. Just when he was lamenting that Simmel still didn't understand him, Filion was enjoying the sunrise with joy. And that's when Florian finally realized, compared to sunrise, she prefers to see the happy expressions of her companions. It seems that the person who understands her best is still Simmel. After a journey along the way, Filion has found her lover, Azer. Iza's life has also entered his later years. So Filion is going to do what she did with the sea otter. Give him a hospice too. Ezra wants Filion to help, looking for the notes of Archmage Flammel. It turns out that AI Zay and the sea otter have been. Keep in touch by letter. Both saw that Florian had regrets for Simmel, so that she can express her feelings to Simmel in person. Keep looking for the handwriting left by Flammel. Finally locked in this basin, after a long exploration by 3 people, finally found the big tree with the notes hidden in it. Only then did Filion recognize this tree. It was Flammel who planted it in front of him. As Flammel's number 1 disciple, Filion was once admonished by the master. One day, he would want to understand humans out of regret, but then the master will still help him. Filion opened the barrier of the ancient tree. Inside are the notes left by Flammel. It records the resting place of the king's soul. When you get there, you can talk to the king. And his location is the location of the Demon King City. Ys is frail due to old age. He quit Filion's team. Oh, my drink. You can see, after 80 years, Filion has to start this long journey again. The two rode in a carriage all the way to the next village. The villagers advised them not to move forward, because a ghost appeared in the mountains ahead. Will arrest all the passengers. That doesn't scare Filion. The next morning, I set off with the flywheel. He told the flywheel that the enemy was using phantom magic. Will become the person closest to the performer, so as to lure the other party into falling into the trap. But it can be cracked with a magic attack.
So no threat.
The two then arrived in enemy territory. Then Filion was suddenly stopped. Looking back, it turned out to be the soul of a sea otter. Just as he was about to unleash his magic banishment, the sea otter complimented him on growing up, and said he only showed up because he missed Filion. Filion was stunned for an instant after listening. I can't do it at all. Just as Filion was about to take action, he was actually stopped by Simmel's soul. This is beyond his expectations, and the other party only has 1 sentence. In the next second, the monster body that controls the phantom appears. This time, Fei Long will not show mercy. Destroy it with 1 shot. Friend turned her head and left, because he is still waiting to meet the true soul of the king. The two then came to a canyon. Filion has her eyes on a magic book. It's a pity that this book is guarded by a red dragon. He ordered the flywheel to cast a spell against the red dragon. However, the first shot didn't even break the defense. Filion's tactics for this are: the flywheel is miserable, almost got killed by the red dragon. It seems that the two of them can't get through this level. So Lien went to a nearby village. Azer told him before parting, "There is a soldier in the village named Shota. He is his own apprentice. If you meet him, you can accept him to join the team." So the two went to the village to look for the tower. Under the guidance of a mother-in-law, the two quickly found the tower. It turns out that the red dragon attacked this village a few years ago. At that time, he was successfully driven away by the tower. Afterwards, the tower became the patron saint of the village. Lillian reveals her identity. Hope Shota joins the team, and said that as long as the tower can attract the red dragon for 30 seconds, you can beat him yourself. Welfare Company exposed each other on the spot. Have you never been in combat? The tower is instantly exposed. Turns out he didn't come forward at the time. He was paralyzed. The red dragon just flew away by itself. But the villagers insisted on worshipping him as a hero. Phelan was speechless. This coward definitely can't do it. But Florian didn't think so. He also gave me one night to repair the tower, considering the middle of the night. The two are going to sleep with Lu Delian, but I heard a loud noise. Florian heard that this was the movement made by the tower, but he didn't care. The flywheel went there out of curiosity. Found the tower chopping down the stone wall with a battle axe. This is how he exercises. Hueda said it was a piece of trash. Come to this village. It was also a dispute with Master AI Zay that year. He escaped after being injured by his master. So maybe I'll run away tomorrow. But Flywheel doesn't think he's going to escape, because the repair tower's hands are full of proof of power failure. The power accumulated through exercises. He will not betray himself. Will definitely stand up to protect the village. However, the next day, Toda has really disappeared. It seems that the flywheel can only continue to sneak attack the red dragon. Unexpectedly, the tower came back at this time. He's only now making up his mind. Even if you die, you have to hold the red dragon for 30 seconds. As he approaches, the red dragon immediately entered a state of level 1 alert. In fact, dragons are very smart. Never take the initiative to provoke a powerful opponent. The tower was really used to scare the other party away by strength. The reason why AI Zay injured the repair tower back then. It is also because his combat power is too strong. Makes Ezra feel threatened. I accidentally counterattacked with all my strength, and it worked out pretty well. The red dragon's claws were instantly shredded by the tower. I want to use Longyan map in midair, but was killed by an axe. The tower is in a hurry. Why are you just watching? You want me to be beaten to death by the red dragon, right? Should've just found out. The red dragon has died. The timid boy defeated the dragon on his own. Friend also got the magic book as he wished. After this, Hueda decides to join Florian's team. He also wanted to walk the same path that his master had walked. Soon the three arrived at the fortress city. Unexpectedly, he was stopped by the guards when he entered. Due to the recent flood of monsters in the north, no one is allowed to pass through the post now. However, this is the only way to get to Demon King City. Flynn just opened. I'll wait for him for 100 years. See if he opens the door. Fei Long is not happy. Call up the tower and find a way through the outpost together. They asked all kinds of people. They all said they can't pass now. I want to fly through the air. But this fortress also has an enchantment in the air. Doesn't work either. Just when the two were discouraged, just happened to meet the sneaky Frillian. After asking him, he found out that the captain of the guard was actually there. The city wanted him. I was about to ask him what had happened. The guard came looking for him. At this time, the city lord also came over. Turns out he recognized Flynn as the brave man 80 years ago. They are all blind to Tarzan. It delayed the brave man's journey to save the world. The people are also welcome. It's completely impossible to mess up now. Just as the door was opened, Flynn rings. They started out like this. Although the companions are different now, but his journey went on, led by a traveling merchant. They came to the towns of the northern kingdoms. In the middle of town stands the statue of the brave squad. Although human lifespan is limited, but in order to remember the efforts of the brave. And today is Liberation Day. After all, as long as there are festivals, even after 1,000 years, you can also pass on this gratitude. However, this reminded Frylan of the past, the narcissistic youth, looking at the statue of himself with satisfaction. You have to look handsome, pay tribute to future generations, but the real purpose is. At this moment, Florian was finally certain, in the long river of time, his love still surrounds him. However, the next day, 3 people ready to leave. But I met the messenger of the devil at the corner. They were beautifully dressed, apparently talking to the Lord. But Florian's attacking stance, but was mistaken by the guards for wanting to assassinate in the street. Then it was suppressed. It turns out that the remnants of the devil race died after the brave. It's starting to come alive again. Once one of the 7 collapses of the Demon King's army, Allah, it regained its strength 28 years ago. The war between this town and the demons has also been deadlocked for 28 years. Until recently, the demons sent out nuclear emissaries. He is the 3 people in front of him. The leading demons noticed Frillian. Apparently, he didn't recognize the strongest magician. But he didn't underestimate Frillian for that either. Just because of the way most humans look at them. It's anger and fear. But Frillian's eyes contained indifferent killing intent. So, at the behest of the Lord, Frillian was put in a dungeon. This puzzled Phelan and Shutha. Since the demons are here for peace talks, why was Frillian so excited? After all, casualties can be reduced through negotiation. Isn't that a nice thing? But friends said, demons actually have their own language. The reason why they learned human language. That's for better bewitching humans. Jamal once subdued a juvenile demon. But just as he was about to do it, it is precisely because of this sentence made him stop what he was doing. The village chief also believes that, since you can communicate with demons in language, that young devil can definitely be educated well. At first glance, they seem to be living happily. The next night, the village chief paid the price in blood. The demon clutches the village chief's daughter. No emotion in the eyes. He doesn't even know it's wrong. The next second, he was beheaded by Simmel. In Florian's opinion, a demon who learns language in order to bewitch humans. It has no credibility. This peace talks must also be a bigger conspiracy. At the same time, the peace talks in the mansion continue. The Lord brought 3 demons to his son's room. Use your son's accessories to point to the devil. It turns out that the Lord has no intention of negotiating peace. Let the demon messenger in. It's just to avenge the murdered son with your own hands. However, Luguna is not panicked. He said his father also died on the battlefield against humans. He could understand how the Lord felt at this moment. When is the revenge? Since the language is interoperable, why not stop the needless killing? This sentence moved the Lord. He helplessly put down his sword. However, Jaguna's true purpose is not the river pool. He was trying to use the name of the river pool. Eliminate the defensive barriers that protect the city from within.
Subsequently,
his men also came to the dungeon where Frillian was held. Frillian never thought. A little guy is actually clamoring to kill himself. Why can't my subordinates keep restraining Frillian's head? Florian couldn't help but sigh. The current demons are too lacking in actual combat experience. I thought this would solve myself. In the next second, cut off the hand of the devil controlling the silk thread. Give the other party no chance to beg for mercy.
just grab the neck.
The other party ended up. Florian thought, if the other 2 demon ancestors are dealt with, the Lord should forgive himself. However, when he saw the guards who had been killed by his subordinates, immediately rejected the idea just now. At the same time, the flywheel and the tower are going to contact the Lord. Tell him to let go of Frillian. After all, they think, I am not Luguna's opponent at all. It just so happens that the 2 happened to bump into Frillian in a black robe. Phelan recognized the tower at a glance. Florian said there was no way to escape. After all, demons disappear when they are killed. The dead guard will definitely be killed as a homicide. So I had to run. Phelan was puzzled. Is Florian going to die here? Unexpectedly, Florian said, "The remaining two will be handed over to Phaluin and the two to solve." Because he didn't think the two couldn't beat Luguna. Lillian sensed magic outside. Keep exploring the city. But it's one of the 7 punishments ready to attack at any time. The other side of Aura. The Lord has come to Luguna's guest room again. It turned out that she saw through the truth that the guard was killed, arresting Florian on the street. She didn't resist at all. This proves that she knows. Defying the guards is a felony. However, Luguna's subordinates have disappeared for a long time. This had to make him suspect that it was the hands of the demons. Seeing things come to light, Luguna doesn't plan to continue pretending. Use magic to instantly destroy the rushing guards. However, he didn't intend to get rid of the Lord just like that, because only the Lord can control the city enchantment. So Luguna locked the Lord. Give the Lord 1 night to explain. However, just then, the tower that broke into the mansion opened the door and entered. The Lord asked him to take the necklace that symbolized his family, but informed the citizens to evacuate. Shuda insists on saving the Lord. Unexpectedly, Luguna killed a tile gun at this time. Before Luguna could react, the tower flashed behind him. Luguna's hand was removed with a force chop, but it was turned into a long needle by its blood. When storming again, the opponent's blood has turned into claws. He pressed the tower to the floor, just when Luguna thought she was winning. Suanu saw that Luguna was seriously injured. "I want to go up and stop the enemy," but was stopped by it, just because Luguna knows, if this blow had landed on her, she's already gone. Just as the flywheel wants to launch another attack. Snow Tower said that Lingzhu had been seriously injured. Urgent need for treatment. I can only retreat now. At the same time, Frillian stood alone in front of the demon army. In front of the headless army of Aura. Frillian is so weak. However, what he didn't expect was, Frillian actually wasted her magic power. Used the magic to lift the curse, letting the headless horseman escape his grasp. Frillian said, it was because of the destruction of the knight's body. And Simmel scolded him for a long time. Unexpectedly, Aura's words poked his inverse scales. At this time, the Phelan duo placed the Lord in a monastery. I bandaged the wound, by the way. After seeing that the Lord is all right, Star decides to go out of town to find Frillian. But he was stopped by the Lord, because Aura has a magic tool that can manipulate others. Obeyed the scales. He will place the souls of himself and his enemies on the balance to measure the amount of magic, and the one with more magic will make the other obey and turn it into a puppet until death. So building towers used to only cause trouble to the welfare park. The two had to decide to inform the guards first, help the people in the city take refuge. Suddenly an attack came from nowhere, nailed the flywheel to the city wall. Just as Shota tried to come to the rescue, the demon girl appeared behind him, spin the axe, successfully divided the two battlefields. It turned out that as early as when rescuing the Lord, Luguna put her own blood, sticked to Phelan's clothes. They followed the magic of blood to find this place. However, at this time, Luguna did not mean to kill Phelan immediately. He also wanted to find out the whereabouts of Florian. Phelan lied about killing the guard because of his little brother, and framed it on Frillian. As a result, now Frillian has fled overnight. Luguna is not stupid either, alone thinking about where Frillian is going. However, this allows the flywheel to catch the flaw. Successfully shattered the blood hair that pinned him. Luguna is very conceited. He didn't take the two little furry kids seriously at all. Even held the staff to the head by the flywheel. Still confident to say, look at your gun fast. Still my knife is fast. But he never thought. In terms of casting speed, even friend can't beat a flywheel. Under the indiscriminate magical attack of the flywheel, Luguna also had to defend passively. I want to wait until it runs out of magic. Find another opportunity to fight back. The tower on the other side was shot down by the demon girl. I fell into a disadvantage because of an injury on my hand. Facing the constant attack of the demon girl, he can only be forced to defend. However, the other party hit him with AI Zay's record. Original. The demon woman has the ability to copy the fighting skills of others. In the case of falling at a disadvantage, learning that he was going to fight another master, it also gradually made him lose confidence. Haven't played a few rounds. He was chopped to the ground by the demon girl again. Then he remembered what Ezra had taught. As a warrior, there is no shame in falling down. What's more important is to be able to stand up again after falling down. In the face of a powerful enemy, stand up no matter how many times, until you win. Relative to the master's aggressive attack, the power of the axe swung by the devil woman seems to be unusually small. So much so that he is still alive. So the tower gave up its defense directly, at the cost of serious injury, successfully launched his strongest attack. On the other side, when Laguna turned around, and the flywheel caught it, a penetrating spell directly penetrates the chest. Filion remembers the scene of his first encounter with his master. He at this moment, seriously injured because he killed the demons of Tutsuan. Flamel saw, at a glance, the power of Filion. However, he had no intention of staying any longer. After all, this frontal combat style, it was never his cup of tea. Unexpectedly, Flamel pretended to be weak. I was actually seen through by Filion. He just said, Flamel is a magic much stronger than himself. This made the other party decide to save this talented girl. It turns out their experiences are very similar, have been destroyed by demons. Flamel plans to take him as his close disciple. He knows that with the lifespan of his human race, can't hold on until the day the devil falls. I hope there is a successor to help me fulfill my wish. However, the pursuit of the demon race suddenly appeared. Deal with demons who are good at magic. Choosing to be hard on the front is a very stupid thing to do, but they discovered through observation. Flamel is an ordinary mage with weak magic. The pride of being a demon. Make them give up their original plan to attack. Flamel gave his apprentice a life. The most important lesson. Just one blow turned the demons into scum. And the magic radiated from it. It's not the same level as just now. Although demons are excellent magic enablers. And their pride and ego became the Achilles heel. After that, Fleming began to practice. That's the magic that controls the spill. Flamel told him, I want to pretend to be a pig and eat a tiger. Then you have to pretend for a lifetime, until there is not a single demon left in the world. It turns out that in the eyes of the demons, how much magic does a person exude determines his ability and status. Just like humans determine status by wealth. Same. Powerful demons will also unscrupulously exude magic to strengthen his position. 50 years of practice like a day by friend. Finally able to precisely control every trace of magic. And his master has aged. He knew his time was numbered. So I asked friend to plant a sea of flowers in front of his grave. It was the first magic his parents taught him. Also my favorite magic. After LeMay's death, accustomed to loneliness, Filion, I lived alone in the forest. For thousands of years, he has been delving into the ancient magic of data, until 3 people showed up to change his fate. Time back to the present. On the battlefield, Aura's crowd tactics seemed to rise. It worked. The flying in his eyes, because of a lot of consumption. There's very little magic left. The next step is simply to raise the scales of obedience. You can get rid of the self completely. After all, in his opinion, although Filion is an excellent magician, but compared with the great devil who has lived for 500 years, that magic is trivial at all. The moment the soul reaches the scales, Aura drew her sword with confidence, heading towards Filion. However, then, the most unexpected thing happened to him. The scales are now completely tipped. In an instant, Aura was under control. On Friedrich's orders, he could only lift his sword and kill himself. After defeating Aura, the Headless Legion also fell. They all used to be heroic soldiers who defended their homeland and country. Among them was the body of the Lord's son, the integrity of the corpse that the Lord preserved for Filion, and thank you in the hospitality of the townspeople. The three of them temporarily recuperated here for a while. I didn't decide to leave until winter. On the day of departure, the Lord informed the Northern Plateau of the dangerous situation. Restricted personnel movement. Avengers adventurers also need level 1 magic to make peers.
To pass.
Unexpectedly, Fernelian did not have research at all. After all, the Magicians organization has been changing over thousands of years.
He didn't bother to take the exam.
Now I can prove that I am a magician. Only one antique. So the Lord proposed. 3 people. You can go to cities in the northern kingdoms to take exams. The location is just on the other side of the mountain ahead. But now it's winter. Friend reminded the two. The winters in this area are unusually cold. In the battle against the Demon King's army, the thing that kills the most people is the cold winter in the northern kingdoms. Should have fell into a coma on the spot. However, such a heavy snowstorm. There's really no way to cast floating magic. The flywheel that can't help it can only complain at the same time. Drag him forward. Fortunately, Filion still remembers. When I passed by here with the brave, there is a hut of refuge. However, the 3 arrived at the door of the hut, but I heard the movement inside. After opening the door, it turned out to be a topless male elf. He expressed that, I haven't met my own kind in 300 years, for lack of magic. Even if we find this shelter, there was no way to make a fire. You can only do squats non-stop to maintain body temperature. Fortunately, Filion lit the stove. The food he stored outside can also be thawed. So the 4 of them planned to spend the winter in the hut. During this time, Filion learns that the male elf is a monk, believing in the muse who created heaven and earth. He wanted to swap stories with Filion, take each other as proof that each other lives in this world. After all, people who know their own stories and achievements die one by one. No one remembers the trace of his existence. It's so cruel. He wanted to remember it, and complimented Florian. Florian said no need. He remembered that the sea otter had complimented him. That year, only the sea otter sees through his millennial workouts, and applauded for it. And that's good enough. In the blink of an eye, winter has passed. After saying goodbye to the monk elf, Frillian trio once again embarked on a journey to find the place where the soul sleeps. Not far away is the village that guards the brave. And this little girl is the 49th village chief star. I've heard of this place for a long time. After all, everyone who wants to be a hero can't escape the temptation of the sword of the brave. He believed that the sword had been taken by Simmel long ago. Then why did the villagers? To continue living on this mountain. At this moment, another powerful monster appeared on the mountain. So the crowd decided to help destroy him. The tower found a place surrounded by wolves. In the cave, he made a move to jump and chop. Wiped out the wolves with just the snow. Then the super monster finally appeared. But it's not a match for the Frillian team at all. A magic cannon will drop it in seconds. However, after removing the threat, should have noticed something strange hidden in the cave. The legendary Sword of the Brave is still there. This also means that Simmel did not draw the Sword of the Brave. Simmel failed to draw his sword. The crowd was about to step forward to comfort, but Simmel suddenly smiled in relief. There's nothing wrong with fake heroes, right? He will still bring down the devil. Let the world be at peace again. This way, whether it's a fake brave or a real brave, it doesn't matter. Simmel kept his promise. Even without that sword, he is still a true hero. Afterwards, Frillian and the others bid farewell to the land of swords. Came to the northern kingdoms. Frillian intends to let everyone move freely. Phelan wants to go shopping with him, but Frillian refused. He wants to read the magic book at the hotel, and said that today is Shiota's 18th birthday. Why didn't Phelan complain about this kind of thing earlier? He's not ready for anything yet, and asked Frillian what she planned to send. Frillian smiled calmly. Take out the baby at the bottom of the press box. It's this potion that dissolves clothes.
Man,
You will be very happy to receive this kind of thing. Phelan grabbed my potion, poured directly on friend's head. I didn't expect you to be such a friend. And left without looking back. Phelan decides to ask him in person. He found the tower on the observation deck. I still want to get that nasty drug. The tower will not be happy. Unexpectedly, the other party is admiring the clouds in the sky and lamented that the clouds really look like F cups. The flywheel was stunned, and you walk up to it, invite each other to go for a walk in the city. The tower is also inexplicable. I don't know why the other party is angry. Just as he was about to apologize, Fei Long asked him if he had anything he wanted for his birthday, but the tower looked puzzled. He never received a birthday present. After all, neither his family nor his master in his hometown gave it to him. His hometown is the village of warriors. There is no room for the weak. At that time, his brother was the most promising soldier in the village. In comparison, Shuda was a failure in his father's eyes. Only my brother praised the tower for its great concentration. It will definitely become strong in the future. Then the demons invaded their village. At that time, he abandoned his eldest brother and ran away alone. You may not get the blessing of your family. And, of course, at this point Phelan interrupted his self-talk, decided to go gift shopping with him, and said that the tower he knew never ran away. Even if the tower wants to escape, he wouldn't give it a chance. After that, Phelan left on his own. The tower can only catch up, and picked up gifts at the prop store. After the two of them finished shopping and returned to the hotel, Flynn had already prepared dinner for them. Dinner is an oversized hamburger meat. Shuda is all too familiar with this hamburger meat, although his master won't give him any gifts. But every birthday will definitely make him hamburger meat. Hear this. Florian was puzzled. Didn't Azer tell him the intention? It turns out that no matter who is celebrating their birthday, Aize will prepare oversized hamburger meat. E said it was a custom in their hometown. It's a gift to reward outstanding soldiers. That's a birthday present for them. And my brother was also late at night on his birthday. Did the same thing for him. It shows that they have always attached importance to building towers. Never forgot the first 2 days in the artesian forests of the northern kingdoms. A man fell into a bottomless swamp. He implicitly begged Florian to pull himself out. Florian decided to think about it. After all, the other party's hands are too dirty. Thanks to the flywheel coming, he was rescued in time. Then the man took the three of them to the entrance of the village and asked them if they would come to the village. But Florian said, they're going to a bigger town to restock. They left the village. I didn't expect to take a few steps. The tower was bitten by a venomous snake. Nosebleeds immediately after death. However, detoxification is the magic of monks. Flynn is not good at. Hueda thought they were making too much of a fuss. Poisoning is a thing that can survive just by its momentum. However, the monks who found the village questioned. But I learned that the tower was hopeless. The brain starts to melt as a child. This directly scares the piss for the repair tower. Now only the monk's brother can save him. Unexpectedly, just then, the man just appeared suddenly. He healed the tower in just a moment. The man's name is Zanin, the monk's brother. Their parents died young, so the monk is a big man. I worked tirelessly to raise my brother. This kid wanted to be an adventurer from an early age. He didn't want to be an ordinary monk. So I hope that Florian can invite him on an adventure together. I very much agree with this. He decided to go and invite each other. He came to a tavern. Found out that Sane was gambling with the village chief. Sane, sit the tower down. If he wins, join each other. After a while, Friedrich and Phelan go to find each other. I found that the whole body of the repair tower had been lost. For smoking a cigarette in melancholy, he lost it all too. Sane said he would not join them. Let's find someone else. He is no longer an adventurer. He should have left earlier. Sitting here now, just an uncle living on the street. Flynn remembered himself just like him. Facing Simmel's invitation, He says he hasn't fought demons in 500 years. Now, it can only hold back. Just make up your mind to go. It's never too late. But even so, Zanying still doesn't plan to join. The conversation they just had with each other let Frillian fully understand. Sure enough, he hates Zanying. So, even if you are angry, you have to pull in the praise. Then Phelan redeemed the hunter's clothes. Only then did everyone return to the hut to discuss countermeasures. Frillian thinks it's not bad to occasionally push someone in the back, like brave Simmel once did. That's all. Florian decided to stay in the village for a while.
Since then,
They go every day to invite Zanying to join the team. The eyes of three people are full of dreams. It reminds Zanying of his best friend.
10 years ago,
He once invited Zanying to go on an adventure to northern China. He said he would come back in 3 years. So Zanying can't make up her mind now. We can have an adventure together next time. However, the other party never came back. Every time I think of these, in the UK, I feel deep regret.
for her today,
The risk has been too dazzling. So the three who were rejected in a row had to come to the priest and ask what you like. I would like to use it for reference. The priest thought for a moment, called out smoking, drinking, gambling, building towers. Is he really a cleric? Phelan even sighed that Haida was indeed a good monk. Then the priest also said that Zanying liked the older sister. Hearing this, Florian began to think seriously. Then Zanying came to the church. The tower will be installed immediately. On his shoulders. Take him out of the church. Ask the other person if they want to travel with the eldest sister. Zanying call. That's why he wanted to be an adventurer. And ask where the eldest sister is. Just then, Friedrich suddenly revealed herself as an elf, but a much older sister.
the suit was speechless.
What she wants is not this kind of big sister. Frillian had to resort to a beauty trick.